Are you in your early to late 40s, maybe even younger, and you've suddenly started to feel anxious, panicky, on edge, and you keep thinking, what's happening to me? Well, I'd like you to stay with me because this might not be anxiety like you've known it before. It might be hormones. And once you understand what's happening in your body, the fear around it starts to dissipate just a little. I'm Julie Williams. I'm a behavioural psychologist and the founder of The Coaching Den. And in this video, I'm going to explain the connection between perimenopause and panic attacks, because anxiety and panic are signals. It's not you. I'd like to share a little bit of my own story, because if this is happening to you, you need to know it makes sense. I didn't. I'd lived with panic attacks on occasion, usually after a really stressful part in my life. And the strange thing about panic attacks is it doesn't happen when you are fixing the world, dealing with problems. They tend to start when everything has just come back to normal. And you take that breath and you say, oh, at last I can start living again. And then the panic flares. So for me, the attacks became much more frequent. They became monthly, weekly, then daily, and at its worst, 4 to 5 times a day. Now, this wasn't a normal pattern for me. I'd had a good career, a great business, and slowly my world got smaller and smaller. I stopped driving, I stopped going out, I created things to keep my business going, and at its worst I reached a point where life just became unbearably hard. Not because I didn't want to live, I just didn't want to live like this. So that's when I started researching. It's always my go-to to try and understand what's happening to me. And what I learned, I'll share with you now, because if it helps just one person understand that they're not going out of their mind, then my job is done. So let's talk about what's actually happening in the body, because understanding this changes everything, and it's not explained. So we have hormones. Let's start with oestrogen. Now, oestrogen plays a key role in regulating your nervous system. Its levels through perimenopause will fluctuate and reduce, and the brain becomes more sensitive to the stress hormones like adrenaline. All of a sudden, your just everyday challenges that you cope with can feel really intense or overwhelming. So hormonal changes turn up the brain's volume on danger and down on reassurance, which is why panic attacks can seem to arrive so suddenly. Okay, progesterone. Now that's the calming influence. Progesterone has a naturally calming effect on your brain. And when it drops, the nervous system has less support to return to its balance. This can make it quicker to react and slower to calm. We all know that point where we just blow our top and we have no idea why. This is not us. Cortisol, I talk a lot about cortisol, and that's that constant alert. Menopause can increase the cortisol, which is your stress hormone, and this puts the body into a state of heightened alert, even when there's no immediate threat around. Panic attacks are these sudden adrenaline surges. Now, progesterone helps the brain switch off after stress, and when it reduces, the body stays on high alert for longer. Can you start to see the pattern here? And then we have the physical sensations. During menopause, fluctuating oestrogen disrupts the temperature control, your blood vessels regulation, hot flushes, and the adrenaline release, which creates these physical sensations. We have the hot flushes, palpitations, dizziness, and breath changes. We start to breathe shallower. These can all trigger feelings of panic. The brain interprets the sensations as something being wrong. You're not safe. And then the panic escalates. So if this is happening to you, here's a really important thing to understand. Hormonal changes in menopause alter the brain's fear and calming systems. They increase adrenaline sensitivity and create strong physical sensations, even when you're safe. Understanding it is just the start. But how can we help ourselves? If panic or anxiety has increased around the perimenopause age, and it is different to what you felt before, or it's increasing, then please go and speak to a doctor. I know this is hard these days and we have busy lives, but this is about putting you first. You have to be clear that this feels hormonal, not situational. Ask for a review that considers hormones as well as mental health, because panic at this stage of life is often a nervous system response to hormonal fluctuations. Now, your GP might discuss options such as HRT, medication for anxiety, or referral for talking therapy, and sometimes it's that combination that helps. If HRT is considered, it's reasonable to ask for a menopause-informed discussion, rather than a one-size-fits-all approach. And if your anxiety or panic is severe, if it's frequent, if it's shrinking your life, please seek support sooner rather than later. You don't need to wait for it to become unmanageable. If you ever feel safe, unsafe, or overwhelmed, urgent medical or crisis support is the right next step. In the meantime, I just wanted to give you some tools that you can use as soon as you stop watching this video. Tools that kind of help me. So name what is happening, and this is learned. When the panic starts, remind yourself this is hormones and adrenaline. It is not danger. Now, I know that sounds quite trite, but that simple sentence reduces the brain's urge to escalate. Breathing. Our breathing becomes much more shallow. So we need to learn breath work, and panic settles through longer breathing out. If you've watched my other videos, you will see that I talk about this. Longer exhales send a safety signal to the nervous system. If you can, inhale for 4 and exhale for 8, and repeat at least 5 times. Try and bring your attention back to your body. Again, I've said this before, press your feet on the floor, hold your hands tight, go and run some water on your wrists, some cold water, something that will bring you back into the present moment. For me, medication became part of creating enough space for my recovery. For others, HRT helps. And for some, therapy or education like this video is key. Most of the time, it's a combination. And support looks different to everyone. All of it is valid. Let's not forget, though it's hard, this is a time in our lives. The nervous system is adaptable. You will come out the other side. Your body will settle, even if you don't think it is at the moment. So, Behind the Behaviour is about understanding the why behind the patterns that you've been living with to create clarity, confidence and change. If this video has been helpful, please like, subscribe, more importantly, share it with somebody you feel it can help.